what are your 3 top things that could possibly go wrong with design sprints? 3 things that you say, oh, really, they did it again?
So, the 3 things that are the worst are, and they kind of go back to that idea of cutting it short, the first one. So when a team compresses it too much, usually if they do it in 3 days, let's say, or 2 days, then they don't prototype and test, or as you mentioned, they will prototype too long sometimes. So they'll say, well, we can only do 2 or 3 days now, and then we're going to prototype for 2 weeks. And I've done I ran sprints like that kind of the early days of Google Ventures, and we were still really experimenting with the format. And after 2 weeks of prototyping something, I would be in love with it. You know, like my ears were not open to negative feedback. And so I think that's one thing is taking too long or too short. And too short usually means cutting off the prototyping and testing. Sometimes people will actually compress everything into 3 days or 2 days. Google now, they're still running a lot of design sprints, and hundreds of people were trained to run them, and they will often bring teams together from different locations and do a sprint in 3 days. But that means you're working really intense. Like, to me, that's like kind of burnout level of work, and I'm afraid it leads people to think, like, we don't ever want to do that again. Like, maybe it worked, but like, that was horrible. And I think that's a failure too. The more common kind of failure is not getting the decider involved. And so often a design sprint without the real decider being involved in some way, well, maybe the prototype tests beautifully and the team's really excited about it, but it doesn't match the strategy of the decision maker, and it goes nowhere. And that's extremely demotivating. That's worse than not doing the design sprint for sure, because the team feels really badly about that. And let's see, if I was going to pick a third, I think maybe the thing that aggravates me the most is paper prototypes. So I think sometimes when people test, they want to, for whatever reason, I don't know, because building a paper prototype takes as long as building a realistic prototype. But I think for some people it feels faster or more creative, and it just sort of goes against my philosophy on the best way to learn at that stage. I think it's to show people something real. So that's something that's, you asked for what frustrates me, that's one. Oh no, come on, just make a real one.